Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 16th edition of WealthWise with Edelweiss. I hope you and your families are safe and well. My name is Rajagopalan, Executive Vice President of Corporate Development at the Edelweiss Group. और आज का टॉपिक है Opportunity in the time of adversity. How can India emerge from this stronger than ever before? शुरू करने से पहले I'd like to tell you a little story. मैं एडलवाइस में 4 साल से काम कर रही हूँ. इसके पहले I was working abroad in a large financial institution. रशीश और मैं ICICI में काम करते थे. It was the first job for both of us. जब रशीश ने ICICI छोड़ा अपनी कंपनी शुरू करने के लिए, मैंने भी ICICI छोड़ी और विदेश चली गई. वो कंपनी था एडलवाइस, एक नया इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंकिंग बुटीक. 1995 में रशीश शाह और वेंकट रामास्वामी का नारिमन पॉइंट में एक छोटा सा ऑफिस था. उनके साथ 2 और लोग थे और कुल मिलाकर उनके पास 1 करोड़ की कैपिटल थी. एंड ये भी फैमिली और फ्रेंड्स से, बिकॉज बोथ ऑफ देम वर प्रोफेशनल्स. एडलवाइस की शुरुआत ऐसी हुई थी. जब मैं वापस इंडिया आई तो मैंने हैरानी से देखा कि एडलवाइस बिल्कुल बदल गया है. वो नारिमन पॉइंट में 4 आदमी का छोटा ऑफिस was now a listed company headquartered at Edelweiss House with 4 large businesses in wealth management, asset management, credit and insurance, and 8,500 crores of capital और 10,000 के ऊपर employees भी. Edelweiss शुरू हुए 25 वर्ष हुई. In these 25 years, India ने कई संकट देखी है. Some of you may remember 1997-98 में Asian financial crisis, 2000 का .com bubble, 2008 का global financial crisis, 2013 का छोटा taper tantrum और 2016 में demonetization. And in the middle of all of this, Rashesh और उनकी टीम ने एडलवाइस को एक सुरक्षित और स्थिर कंपनी, सेफ एंड स्टेडी कंपनी बनाए रखा. कस्टमर वेलफेयर एंड सर्विस को अपने सामने रखते हुए इन्होंने ये कंपनी बनाए हैं. आज जब दुनिया इस गंभीर स्थिति से गुजर रहे हैं जिसमें कोविड-19 महामारी के कारण बहुत से बिजनेस बंद हो चुके हैं, तब उनके विचार और उनका तजुर्बा इस वक्त से सही सलामत निकलने के लिए it will be really helpful for all of us. Today we have with us a rare individual जिन्होंने हर संकट को पार किया है और हर मौके का फायदा उठाया है सिर्फ अपने कंपनी को मजबूत बनाने के लिए. मैं श्री रशेश शाह को आपके बीच इस वेबिनार के माध्यम से लेना चाहती हूं to discuss today's topic. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Rashesh Shah, Chairman and CEO of Edelweiss Group. Welcome, Rashesh, to the webinar. Mute.
Hello.
Rashesh, you're on mute.
Hello, namaskar everybody. Good to see you all and thank you for this opportunity and thank you for the story and the introduction, Ramya. I think दोनों में हिंदी में भी बहुत अच्छी थी और इंग्लिश में भी बहुत अच्छी थी.
Everyone, this is a small announcement. Please note that there may be a time lag of about 10 to 15 seconds. This is just because of network and connectivity issues, so please do bear with us. Thank you very much, Rashesh. I wanted to start this chat with you first by asking, COVID has single-handedly reduced or lowered the growth outlook for the entire world, and India is no exception. But your specialty in particular at Edelweiss is that we build our businesses during downturns. And you've done this time and again. So I wanted to ask you, for you, is COVID an opportunity or a threat? How should we look at it?
See, ये जो हम लोग जो words use करते हैं, opportunity, threat, they are usually 2 sides of the same coin. लोग कहते हैं कि हर crisis opportunity है. आप अगर इंडिया की भी story देखिए, if you look at India also, I remember मैंने जब मेरी career start की थी 1989 में, उसके 2 साल बाद 91 में इंडिया में एक बहुत बड़ी क्राइसिस हुई थी, बैलेंस ऑफ पेमेंट क्राइसिस, एंड इंडिया की इकोनॉमिक हिस्ट्री में इतनी बड़ी क्राइसिस कभी नहीं थी। लेकिन वो क्राइसिस इंडिया के लिए सबसे बड़ी अपॉर्चुनिटी हो गई। इंडिया ने बड़े रिफॉर्म किए उस टाइम, हम मनमोहन सिंह वाज अ फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर, पीवी नरसिम्हा राव वाज देयर, एंड उन्होंने इतने बड़े रिफॉर्म किए कि हमारा पूरा इकोनॉमिक आउटलुक चेंज हो गया। और हमने एडलवाइस स्टार्ट की, वो भी इसी के वजह से, क्योंकि इसके बाद इंडिया का एक नया दौर शुरू हुआ, नया का एक नया इरा था। एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दिस आई थिंक देयर वाज अ लॉट ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटी के, बिकॉज अंटिल देन अगर आप देखिए लॉट ऑफ बिजनेसेस में, ओल्ड बिजनेस हाउसेस कोई कैपिटल मिलती थी, अपॉर्चुनिटी उन्हीं को मिलती थी। लेकिन 91 के बाद इंडिया चेंज हो गया, इंडिया की कैपिटल मार्केट चेंज हो गया। अगर आप देखिए एनएससी है, सेबी है, ये सब जो एफआईआईज है, ये सब चालू हुआ 91 के बाद। सो 1991 एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट मोमेंट था इंडिया के लिए, लेकिन वो क्राइसिस में ही पैदा हुआ। तो हर ग्रोथ की शुरुआत क्राइसिस से होती है। हम जो स्टॉक मार्केट में लोग कहते हैं कि एवरी बुल मार्केट इज बॉर्न इन दी डेप्थ ऑफ बेयर मार्केट, बिकॉज जहाँ पे ऐसा लगता है कि फ्यूचर खत्म हो गया है, सब कुछ बुरा होने वाला है, आई थिंक एट दैट टाइम ऑल्सो कहीं ना कहीं द रे ऑफ होप कम्स, एज नाइट फॉलोज डे एंड डे फॉलोज नाइट। आई थिंक साइकिल्स आते रहते हैं। आप देखिए बिजनेस में, इकोनॉमी में, इवन पर्सनल लेवल पे, आई एम श्योर जो ऑल द व्यूअर्स हु आर देयर, पीपल जो आज ऑडियंस में है, ईच एंड एवरी वन ऑफ देम would have had their own personal ups and downs and crises in their lives and opportunities in their life and growth in their lives. So I think उतार चढ़ाव तो आते हैं। एक एक हम ह्यूमन बींग्स का, हम ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का एक सबसे बड़ी एक पैराडॉक्स होती है, एक जो एक स्ट्रेंज है हम सब के लिए। हम सब चाहते हैं, मैं भी चाहता हूँ कि एक ऐसा बिजनेस बने, एक ऐसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बने, वो स्लो एंड स्टेडी कॉन्स्टेंटली एवरी ईयर धीरे धीरे ग्रो करे। कुछ उतार चढ़ाव नहीं आने चाहिए, कुछ वॉलेटिलिटी नहीं आनी चाहिए, कुछ एकदम स्टेडी हर साल होना चाहिए। हम सब ये चाहते हैं, हम सब ये भी चाहते हैं कि हमारी लाइफ एकदम अच्छी हो, क्वाइट हो, कुछ ड्रामा ना हो, एवरीथिंग इज वेरी ओके इन लाइफ। लेकिन वो लाइफ कभी कभी हमें बोरिंग भी लगती है, थोड़ा थोड़ा बहुत। आई थिंक जब भी उतार चढ़ाव आता है तभी ग्रोथ आता है। हम सब लोग जब भी क्राइसिस में होते हैं तभी वी लर्न अ लॉट, हमें बहुत सीखना मिलता है। और ये तो मेरे हिसाब से ये तो भगवान की भी देन है कि जब भी अच्छा टाइम होता है हम सब लोग बहुत कंफर्टेबल हो जाते हैं, लेकिन बुरा टाइम आता है तभी हम लोग सीखते हैं, हम लोग
Yeah,
एक दूसरे के साथ काम करते हैं, हमारी जो अच्छी इंसानियत की जो क्वालिटीज होती है वो बाहर आती है।
yeah. But economy में one side of course we have the COVID related issues, और दूसरा चीज है कि we now have a very large and aggressive neighbor at our doorstep as well, Rashesh, with all the issues with China. So in addition to the economic issues, we also have external aggression. Do you think this changes the economic outlook for India very in a major way?
See, what I've seen is ये सब जो एपिसोड होते हैं, जो आपने कहा चाइना वाला है, जो ये कोविड है, और कोविड बहुत बड़ा एपिसोड है। आई थिंक इन आवर लाइफ दिस विल बी द बिगेस्ट
Yeah,
एक्सपीरियंस ऑफ लाइफ। आई थिंक हम जब भी आगे जाके देखेंगे, हम देखेंगे प्री कोविड एंड पोस्ट कोविड काइंड ऑफ एग्जिस्टेंस, बिकॉज ह्यूमैनिटी के लिए ये बहुत बड़ा है। और ये एक्चुअली पार्ट ऑफ दिस वाज रिक्वायर्ड, क्योंकि ह्यूमैनिटी ने इतना कंजम्पशन ग्रोथ किया एनवायरनमेंट के ऊपर। देयर वाज सो मच टॉर्चर दैट वाज गोइंग ऑन इन एनवायरनमेंट एंड ऑल दैट, कि हम लोग इधर उधर ट्रैवल करते थे, वी वर बाइंग क्लोथ, वी वर बाइंग कार्स, वी वर डूइंग एवरीथिंग। बहुत कंजम्पशन हो गया था, बहुत एनवायरनमेंट के ऊपर टेकन ग्रांटेड हो गया था। तो एक एक तो ये था कि एक छोटा ब्रेक ह्यूमैनिटी को चाहिए था। और ये जो भगवान है, नेचर है, उन्होंने ये हमें दिया है कि हम we also start focusing on our health, we start focusing on our family, on our relationships, on environment. I don't know आपका क्या एक्सपीरियंस है, कि ऑडियंस में लोगों का क्या एक्सपीरियंस है, लेकिन एक चीज है कि हम सबको मालूम हुआ है ये लास्ट 3-4 महीने के बाद, हाउ लिटिल वी नीड टू live and be happy
very
and
true.
all. We don't have to buy new clothes all the time, we don't have to buy new shoes, we don't have to consume a lot of things. So in a way COVID एक रिमाइंडर है। और कोविड एक मैं ये नहीं कहूँगा गेम चेंजर नहीं है, बट एक एक्सेलरेटर भी है। जो हमारे ट्रेंड्स थे, टेक्नोलॉजी, वर्क फ्रॉम होम, वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस, ये सब जो ट्रेंड्स थे, ये ट्रेंड्स अभी कोविड की वजह से एक्सेलरेट हो गए हैं। तो कोविड इज अ एक्सेलरेटर, इट इज नॉट अ गेम चेंजर, बट कोविड इज ऑल्सो अ रिमाइंडर कि हमारी जो बेसिक ह्यूमैनिटी, हमारे जो बेसिक नीड्स है, हमारा जो बेसिक अप्रोच है, वो काफी स्केल डाउन कर सकते हैं, हम थोड़े काम हो सकते हैं। ये जो मोर एंड मोर एंड मोर एंड मोर के कॉन्स्टेंटली वो जो हम सब इंसानों के ऊपर प्रेशर होता है, वो भी कम हो सकता है। तो ये कोविड है। तो कोविड का तो इम्पैक्ट होगा, बट ओवरऑल आई थिंक एक दिन कोविड खत्म हो जाएगा। जब भी कोविड खत्म होगा, उसके बाद इंडियन इकोनॉमी will will again bounce back, because COVID is a big change, but it is for everybody in the world. ये सिर्फ इंडिया के लिए नहीं है, हर किसी के लिए है। ये रहा कि चाइना का द एग्जांपल यू गिव, आई थिंक थिंग्स लाइक चाइना, पाकिस्तान, कुछ ना कुछ तो होते रहता है। आई थिंक इसका इम्पैक्ट शॉर्ट टर्म होगा, इसका बड़ा इकोनॉमी पे कभी इम्पैक्ट नहीं होता है। शॉर्ट टर्म हर चीज का इम्पैक्ट होता है इकोनॉमी पे। तो एक चीज इंडिया की इकोनॉमी में है कि एवरी स्मॉल थिंग अफेक्ट्स द इकोनॉमी, बट नोथिंग अफेक्ट्स द इकोनॉमी परमानेंटली एक्सेप्ट लाइक जब भी हम क्राइसिस में चेंज करते हैं, जो हम अपने खुद के रिफॉर्म करते हैं, जो हम अपने खुद के इम्प्रूवमेंट करते हैं, दोज आर द वंस that stay with us forever. Otherwise ये एक्सटर्नल के जो इश्यूज होते हैं, चाइना, कोविड, ये सब, ये कहीं ना कहीं तो खत्म हो जाएंगे, और ये जब भी खत्म हो जाएंगे उसके बाद तो वी कैन बिकम स्ट्रॉन्गर ऑल्सो।
The lockdown, it was both unprecedented because we've never done it before and no one really saw it coming, actually, Rashesh. So I wanted to talk about how you think Edelweiss adapted to the lockdown, because it suddenly came upon us, right? And how did the business change? How did the operations of the business change? And how long did it take for us to adapt? What do you feel?
It was a complete surprise. I mean, even now, I'm sure everybody in the audience will say that जब ये चालू हुआ, I remember in February I had heard about Wuhan में, China में, Wuhan में, they had complete lockdown and people are not allowed to go out of their house. और मैं सोचता था, how can it be possible? How can you put people in their houses and say nobody can leave their house? And how can people even take that and be able to manage in that? And also for me, it was a big surprise in February, और एंड ऑफ मार्च में इंडिया खुद एक हो गया था लॉकडाउन। बट द बेस्ट थिंग इज हम सब ने अडेप्ट किया है। वी हैव ऑल डन वर्क फ्रॉम होम। इट्स बीन वेरी बिजी लास्ट 3-4 months, एवरीबॉडी हैज बीन वेरी बिजी। सो एक तो ये देखा है कि ह्यूमन बीइंग्स, ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस काफी अडेप्टेबल है, और मेरा एडलवाइस के साथ भी यही एक्सपीरियंस रहा है। एडलवाइस, आई रिमेंबर अर्ली मार्च में हमने जब भी वर्क फ्रॉम होम इनिशियली चालू किया कि कुछ कुछ सम पीपल we allow them to work from home. We somewhere in about 10th or 11th of March, we introduced whoever wants to work from home, not travel in public transport, can work from home. And there were two things. एक तो हमने सोचा how will it be really possible? And the second was people thought, yeah, if we do work from home, a lot of people will take off, they will not come, they will, take it very easy at home. But the two things, so in about 10 or 15 days, Edelweiss, we were very ready for work from home, and it went very smoothly. And धीरे धीरे करके, I think initially about 100 people work from home, then became 200, and by end of March, the whole organization was actually working from home, and it became so smooth. We transitioned, हमने computer also, we moved from offices to people's home, and because we are in broking business also, stock markets were open. It was very important that our customers के लिए we can execute the orders, we can do everything. So we also had to actually move terminals and trading terminals and all into people's homes, and set them up with 3 screens and 4 screens, and we did all that in about 15 days, and it was work from home was very smooth. So that was actually a very amazing experience, that it was so smooth that I would have never imagined that ek to we would have gone to 100% work from home, and second, we would have done it so smoothly. But thirdly, and even more importantly is, इनिशियली जो कुछ लोगों के apprehension थे कि people will slack and become lazy and work quality will suffer, work quantity will suffer, that has completely not been true. I think people have actually worked much harder, much longer hours, and much higher quality. I think the last 3-4 months has been surprising for me, that ek to, work from home can be inconvenient for people because of all the other issues are there. But in spite of that, the quality, the quantity, the dedication of work that I've seen has been amazing. So I think this has also been a very, very big eye opener that not only people can work in this unusual format, but also give their best as possible, as much as possible.
Thank you, Rashesh. Rashesh, can you move a little further closer to the mic, please? Because I hear your voice is a little faint for me. Yeah, this is better.
Can,
Um,
can you
can you say something? Let me just test your voice.
can you hear me now? One, two,
Very
three,
well.
four.
Yeah, this is stronger. This is much better, Rashesh.
Okay.
Rashesh, we had a zero growth quarter for the country, economy-wise. How should we look at the performance of Edelweiss this quarter, and how should we see the COVID impact on Edelweiss both in Q4 and going forward?
So I must say, I mean, I must admit, we started Edelweiss 25 years ago, and 25 years is approximately 100 quarters. In my 100 quarters of Edelweiss, this has been the toughest quarter. I think it was the hardest quarter, a lot of hard decisions, a lot of tough decisions to make, but it was something that we had also never encountered before. We have never made a loss in our 25-year history, but this was the first time we had to take impairment. We had to, make sure that we take, whatever is required as a markdown on our books. We had to do asset sell down, all of that. So it's been a toughest quarter. But I think, as I said, we all have gone through a very tough time individually, personally also. So I think the last quarter was very tough. I do think that next 2, 3 quarters will still be uncertain for the economy in India. In Edelweiss, we have tried to anticipate as much as we can and taken impairments accordingly. Because fortunately, by the time we came out with the results, already April, May, June were over. So we could also take the impact of April, May, and June into the our impairment strategy and our marking strategy on this. I must also say that April and May were very tough. They were very dark days. There was a lot of panic. There was a lot of uncertainty. But I think somewhere in the last week of May, uh, a little bit of improvement started happening. And end of May to June has been green shoots, a lot of improvement, a lot of things have improved. When we talk to our customers also, we see improvement. So the mood has clearly improved. The economy has done much better in June than it did in April and May. And we just hope that this trend continues and we slowly and steadily, maybe by December, January, get the economy back to normalcy. I just hope that we can tackle the healthcare crisis. See, the challenge with COVID has been you have to decide between attacking the healthcare crisis or letting the economy suffer. If you
Sahib.
lock down, you can control the spread of COVID and at least make sure healthcare crisis is more controlled, but then economy suffers a lot. If you open up the economy, then COVID can spread also faster. So I think we have to choose between the two. I do hope that the government chooses to fight COVID a lot more strongly because economy ek do quarter aage piche bhi ho gaya, so I think it will eventually come back. I think the good thing about economy, the good thing about this is every quarter it's like a renewal. Like I always say that this quarter on a profit and loss basis we have made a loss, we have taken an impairment. But if you look at the last 10 years, about 2005, our total net worth at Edelweiss was only 200 crores. Even today, after the impairment, the group net worth is 8,500 crores. So I think overall, if you look at balance sheets, should get stronger. So our approach in Edelweiss is also, I think PNL can be under pressure. PNL will be under pressure for everybody, but the balance sheet should keep on getting stronger. And I must say to you that I think this impairment has also make the balance sheet stronger because जो हमारे balance sheet पे assets है, we have reduced that. What was at 100 rupees has been marked at 80 rupees. What was at 100 rupees has been marked at 40 rupees, 50 rupees. So once you mark down, then obviously the balance sheet is a lot more current and a lot more transparent in that sense. So I think we have chosen to make the balance sheet stronger, even if it makes the PNL weaker. And I think the next 2, 3 quarters for India is not going to be about PNL, it's going to be about balance sheet stronger. And you've seen all the companies from Reliance onwards are all
Yeah.
raising capital or are all ensuring that the balance sheets are becoming stronger because COVID ka impact on earnings on economy will come for the next few quarters. But we have in Edelweiss tried to anticipate that, and because as I said, we had the experience of April, May, June that could be incorporated also. It was possible for us to take the impairment. Also because we had a lot of excess equity. We had more than 2.5 to 3,000 crores of equity, so we could take impairment. So having a stronger balance sheet at this time is always a strength. And I would urge all my clients, all our entrepreneur clients and colleagues who are there to always focus on balance sheet versus P&L, because P&L is every quarter, balance sheet is forever.
Thank you, Rashesh. So this must easily have been the toughest decision you took during this particular quarter, the a conscious and very calibrated decision to say, I will take the impairment to protect my balance sheet, even if it means letting the P&L go for this particular quarter, right?
Absolutely. And again, I would say not only in this quarter, this was a hard decision. This has been the hardest decision in 100 quarters. But we've been getting a lot of feedback from investors. I think a lot of investors were saying, see, ek cheez to hai, last 2 years, things have been under stress. Since ILFS happened, there is a huge liquidity crunch, liquidity stress in the economy. Economy has also been slowing down very significantly. We have exposure to real estates, housing and construction finance that we give. Even that has faced not a good economy and not a good sales environment and all. So there was impairment. I think we were all clear. The question was how much. Now, how much is always an estimate. Now, you could easily say that we will do it in a more optimistic manner. We'll do it slowly and steadily and all, and spread it over many quarters. Or you can say, let me take once and for all a very honest appraisal of the whole thing, say what is the likely outcome going to be, and in a very transparent manner, take it upfront, take it as early as possible. It's always a hard decision. I think I always say that most of the decisions that we make as senior management, as leaders, are always going to be hard decisions, because if they are easy decisions, they can be made by people down the line. There are 11,000 employees of Edelweiss. There are a lot of people in team Edelweiss who are very capable. And if the decisions are easier, then a lot more people can take that decision. The harder the decision to make, the higher up it has to go. So I think it was a tough decision, but I think since it is impairment, and impairment is not a cash loss from a cash flow point of view, our current focus is more on liquidity. So anything that impacts liquidity is much harder decision. Anything that just impacts whether a particular loan is carried at 100 crores or 80 crores should not be that harder impact on liquidity, because that is not impacting liquidity. And fortunately for us, I think banks and our stakeholders and our employees and our customers, they've all stood by us. I think this quarter, April, May, June, in spite of all the noise and the apprehension and the market volatility and all, our customers have stood with us. We have added more customers. Our assets under management in our asset management business has gone up. Our insurance business have grown in this quarter. So what else we have seen is not only our employees have done outstanding work, our our clients and our customers have also stood by us and really appreciated what we are trying to do, how we are trying to do, and said that, we are with you.
Yeah. So here you talked about liquidity, Rashesh, and for the entire NBFC sector, we hear news reports of rating downgrades or difficulty in getting liquid assets, liquidity from banks, etc. And this has obviously worried some customers, bondholders, etc. So how would you advise us to think about this?
So I think two, three things. It's been a tough time on liquidity. In my 30 years of experience, I've never seen a liquidity environment of this kind. When I talk to a lot of experienced people, a lot of bankers and all, a lot of people say in the 30, 40 years, they've never seen such a prolonged liquidity crunch. Liquidity crises always are there in economies, but usually they are there for 3 months, 6 months, maybe a year. This now we are getting close to 2 years of a really tight and getting worse liquidity. Every quarter has got worse. So it started with ILFS, then it got worse, then it got worse. So this is, and then COVID happened. So I think it's been one of the hardest, longest liquidity crunch we have seen. Now liquidity does affect asset quality, it does affect earnings, all of that. And there have been rating downgrades. We ourselves have had rating downgrades. But I think part of this is also we have to learn that as stock prices go up and down, companies' credit ratings will also go up and down. And our industry, NBFC part of Edelweiss, has been facing a lot of headwinds. And all good news is that at Edelweiss, we are not just an NBFC, we are a broad-based,
Yeah.
diversified company with a lot of other businesses. But the fact is, NBFC and the credit business has faced a lot of challenges in the last 2 years. And that challenge has been reflected in the equity stock price, but has been reflected in the bond prices also. And I think partly this is our bond markets have to mature. In fact, one of the problems and I think one of the opportunities is that the bond markets in India have been the single biggest thing that has been underdeveloped because we have had very good equity markets. Our equity markets have developed, but our bond market still doesn't understand risk and reward. I think we just assume that whether all bonds will always stay the same, only credit rating can only go up, it cannot go down, which is not true. As equity price can go up and down, credit rating can also go up and down, bond prices can go up and down. And people assume that there is 100% guarantee if it's a bond, but bond may be, I think globally also, people on a portfolio basis either make money, lose money, NAVs go up and down. All that is part and parcel of that. And I think it's important that Indian investors understand that a bond is not like a fixed deposit in a bank. A bond is a tradable instrument. The trading prices will go up and down, and the outlook of the underlying company that has issued the bond will also go up and down. When we issued the bond, when Edelweiss stock was at say 200 rupees, the outlook has to be different on both Edelweiss equity and Edelweiss bond. When Edelweiss was at 200 in 2016, 17. Now, obviously, our earnings have suffered, our growth has suffered. We have a P&L impact, and that is very obvious. I should not shy away from saying it. That should get reflected in both equity price and the bond price. But as but as the future improves, as the balance sheet improves, as your earnings improve, I think it will get reflected in bond. But it's a time has come that people understand that even when a mutual fund is buying bonds, it may not always be able to sell them at the same price every day. There will be ups and downs, and that is part and parcel of that. And I think Indian investors have a lot of experience in equity markets. I remember 20 years ago when a equity IPO used to come, everybody had assumed that IPO aane ke baad the company will get listed at a higher price only. That every IPO you apply and IPOs will always give you money because listing price will always be higher than the issue price of an IPO. Then I think about 11, 12 years ago, we started having IPOs that started quoting below issue price also because the markets would have changed or there is a huge amount of volatility because I think by the time the issue closed and the listing happened, about 2-3 weeks will go away. And in those 2-3 weeks, if the environment changes, then the market price will change of that. And equity market investors have taken that in that stride. I think now I don't think we even talk about whether an issue is opening above issue price or below issue price when the listing happens, because there is risk involved. When you invest in an IPO, there is a risk involved. There isn't anything that is risk free. I think everything has a risk. The risk will change. The risk will be different. The risk in a bank deposit is very different from a risk in investing in bond, is very different from investing in an ETF in bond, is very different from investing in equity, is very different from a fixed deposit in a company. So I think investors should understand that they need advisors who can explain that to them. And with reward, some risk will come. And the good investment strategy is to balance risk and reward all the time.
As our economy goes towards the path of $5 trillion, Rashesh, and as Indians become wealthier, what changes do you see for the wealth management industry?
I think the biggest change that has happened in the last even 25 years since we started Edelweiss is what I call household wealth and an investable surplus with people. I remember 25 years ago, Indian economy was only $300 billion. It is now $3 trillion. We have grown by 10 times in US dollar terms. we have grown by 20 times in Indian rupee terms. So Indian economy has grown by 20 times. If you look at bank deposits, household savings, everything is up by 20 times in last 25 years. So I think there is a lot of saving that is going to happen. The biggest trend I see in financial services in India is people will borrow more, individuals, for home loans, for car loans, for consumer loans and all that. So on their on the individual balance sheet, they will borrow more, but they will also invest more for long term, for pension, for insurance, for their kids' education, for the kids' marriage. So I think people will borrow and save at the same time, and I'm sure a lot of our customers or viewers have that. A lot of them will have home loans if they have borrowed as a mortgage, or will have a car loan on one side, but they will also have investment in mutual funds and investment in insurance and investment in stock market and all that. So I think, but for this, people will need advice. People will need help in both executing transactions, accessing good products and all, but also in how to structure their portfolio given the risk profile, because everybody's risk profile is different. And even every individual's risk profile changes with age. I was a lot more risk taking when I was 25 and 30 and 35 years old. As I've got older, I also have changed my risk profile. That has undergone a change. I think Edelweiss also, as we have grown the company, we have been, strengthening more our balance sheet. When we were younger, we were more focused on P&L and quarterly profits and all. As we have got older and all, we are saying, okay, we have seen 100 quarters now. We're going to see another hundreds of quarters as we go along in our history. So one quarter here and there should not matter, but we need to focus on the long term, balance sheet. And in that, I call both the tangible financial balance sheet and the intangible culture and values balance sheet. Like that is also very important for organization in long term. That what is your cultural, emotional balance sheet of an organization, and we have realized that those are more important in the long term. In the short term, obviously, everybody wants to make profits and everybody wants to grow and all that. But in the long term, I think your balance sheet becomes very important. So I think that for that, individuals will need a lot of advice. I think household savings are going to grow. We even today, almost 30% of India's GDP is savings. So India saves a lot. The last 30 years, I've seen India is a country of savers. We save a lot. That's part of our culture, and part of it is also because we don't have pension, we don't have retirement benefits very easily. There is a lot of uncertainty in the economy. Healthcare is not free and universal for everybody. Because of that, people have to save. They have to plan for the future. They have to create reserves for the future. So people save a lot. But how do we convert savings into investments? Because not all savings automatically become investments. If you just save money and keep it in a bank deposit, and though you are saving that money for next 25 years when you retire, just keeping it in the bank deposit may not be good investment. It has its own advantages because it is liquid, you can take the money anytime, all of that, but it may not get you the return. So how do you convert your savings into right and appropriate investments is where the wealth management industry comes about. And we have seen that all over the world. Initially, it starts with brokerage and all, where the people are only offering brokerage services, which is mainly only execution of trades or buying and selling of shares. But slowly, brokerage expands into wealth management, where we look at all your needs, all your product that you need, from insurance to to mutual funds to savings and real estate and others, and then advise you in a very holistic manner. You look at USA, look at China. Most of the good companies have evolved from being brokerage companies to wealth management companies. And I say that is an opportunity in India. We have seen that in the last about 15 years. I've seen our own wealth management business. We started our what we used to call high net worth broking business. Even when we started this in 2005, we used to call it HNI broking business. So it was an HNI broking business which has slowly and steadily evolved into wealth management. And now we have, one of the top-notch wealth management businesses in India. But that has happened because our customers have grown, their needs have grown. And I have always seen that the customer needs change and you have to change according to that. So about maybe 14, 15 years ago, the customer need was just a good, clean, honest broker who will execute your trade in a clean manner and give you, your cash or your shares in time. That was also when I started my career 30 years ago, that was not easy to get. Getting a good broker who will charge you
Yeah.
in a transparent way was very hard. I mean, when I started my career, the brokerage transactions used to be 3%, 4% you had to pay for that. And even that, you were never sure whether you got the right price. There was no transparency, there was no timestamp, all of that. It grew. And I think about, as I said, about 14, 15 years, people were happy with a good broker who had good technology, could execute for you, all of that. A lot of those people are saying, okay, brokerage is okay, but I need more. I need research, I need advice, I need access to products, I need hand holding, especially in times like this. And we have seen a lot of activity in the last 3 months, which is very counterintuitive because in COVID, our activity in wealth management has gone up. Why has it gone up? It has gone up because people are more worried about their future. People need more advice. They need to rejig their portfolios in view of the change in the risk environment of in the country. So, given all of that, I think the financial health of people is going to become more and more important. We have seen last 10 years, healthcare has become very important. New hospitals have come about, and with COVID, I think there'll be a lot of importance given to healthcare in the country as a whole. I think the same way as our savings are growing and things are becoming more uncertain, the financial health of our clients will become important. And we hope that we are there as not just chemists, but also doctors for our customers to give them advice for financial health and then help them also get the right prescription on that.
Yeah. Thank you, Rashesh. We are now moving to questions from our clients. We had a little contest before this started, and we've selected three of the best questions to be asked right at the top of the queue. So I'm going to start with that. Sahil Kapoor asks, what are the key skills that businesses should develop to flourish in the post-COVID world?
Yeah, it's an important question, and whether it's a small business or large business, I think there are three, four things that are inevitable. This were getting as the world was getting more complex, more ambiguous, and all. A lot of this was required, and COVID has actually really fast forwarded that. I think the first and foremost is going to be technology. I think companies that adopt technology can be a big game changer. I think even this work from home. So whether you're a small manufacturing company, a small services company, a large international global company, technology will become very, very, very important for everybody. And that is what we say, that constantly invest in technology. It's almost like every year you have to refresh and upgrade your technology. So whether it's digital transformation to whatever else, it's going to be very important. So I think COVID has shown that every business will need to become technology enabled, technology led. The second is being in touch with your customers, because when times are uncertain, customer needs will change, customer habits will change, and if you want to survive in the long term, understanding where your customers are very important. And the only way you can know that is by being in touch with customers. Nobody can know what the customers want. We have seen so many new trends in the market where, when iPhone came in 2007, it was a completely new instrument. Even company like BlackBerry could not anticipate that. But even after iPhone came, there was a lot of opportunity to stay in touch with customers, understand their needs, and there were new companies which were able to cater to customer needs. So I think constantly being in touch with customers, because customer needs are changing, and COVID will change a lot of customers' approach. So whether you are a B2B or a B2C, whatever business you are, business to consumer, business to business, जो भी आपका business है, ये बहुत important है कि you stay in touch with customers. I've seen in India, most companies think that manufacturing is very important. You just have to manufacture a good product, and they usually underinvest in sales. Even just about a month ago, I was advising some entrepreneur who was expanding his facility, and he said, my expansion cost is going to be 20 crore, and this is what I'm saying. I'm saying, when you expand the capacity, how are you going to focus on sales? He said, नहीं, वो expansion के बाद automatic हो जाएगा. So I said, instead of 20 crore investment, increase it to 22 crores, invest 2 crores in sales and marketing also, because only manufacturing is not enough. Sales and marketing is equally important for every business, whether you are in the business to business segment where you are selling to corporations and customers, whether you are in a business to consumer, any other business, international business hai, domestic business hai, you need to invest in good sales and marketing. And sales and marketing doesn't mean advertising. Sales and marketing means being communicating with your customers, being in touch with them. So I would say technology, customer, and third, as I said earlier, a good balance sheet, managing liquidity, managing your balance sheet, all these are going to be very important. So having a strong balance sheet, even if it comes at the cost of quarterly P&L or whatever, is very important that companies become stronger and on their balance sheet side. So I think these three post-COVID will be the most important. Outside of that, I think every company will have its own challenges, its own opportunities because marketplace will change, but that is always there. But if I and actually that is what I do all the time in Edelweiss also. We say how will we be in a post-COVID world? I ask myself also that 2 years, 3 years down the line, when I look back at the COVID time, how do I look at myself? How do I look at the decisions I made? How do I look at how I acted? And my own personal ambition has been that 3 years down the line, I should be able to look back and say that in COVID time, I was at the best of my capabilities. I did the best I could. I behaved very well. I took care of people. I made the right decisions, even if they were not easy and tough. So I want to be proud of myself in the future when I look back at COVID times. And I think the same thing businesses have to do, say that COVID will get over at some time, maybe March 21. If it is March 21, what will your business be between now to March 21? Can you keep on making it stronger and stronger every day for the post March 21 world so that you ensure that when COVID gets over, you are the best you have ever been, given all the challenges and the environment.
That's very inspiring. Thank you, Rashesh. The next question comes from Ravindra Pujari. The government has announced a slew of schemes with LTRO, TLTRO2, PCG. Do you think that these measures are helping two key sectors in the economy? One, are the NBFCs benefiting? And two, is the money reaching SMEs?
So, good question, Ravindra. This is usually true with all schemes in India that they are working and not working at the same time. And the reason I say that is they are working, but not exactly as they were intended and to the fullest extent. So yes, all the government schemes have been very good. The MSME credit scheme, the LTRO, TLTRO, the partial credit guarantee scheme, we have been beneficiaries of that. We saw a lot of a lot of banks coming forward and ensuring that their clients and customers have the liquidity and all. But it's been slower. It's been a lot slower than what everybody would have thought. It should have been faster. So what should have got done in 3-4 weeks might happen over 3-4 months. So in India is always true that things happen more slowly than intended, which takes part of the impact away. The other one is that it's not to the fullest extent. So the government has announced a 3 lakh crore MSME scheme. I would have thought a large part of that 3 lakh crore should go down. So even today, a lot of sanctions have happened, but disbursements are still very slow. So the schemes don't work to the fullest extent. So I think it has worked. It has helped a lot. But if the intention is 100, it's like if you're taking medicine and the doctor says you should take 100 milligram of medicine, but your body can absorb only 20 milligram, then you're getting impact of only 20 milligram, not of 100 milligram. And that is what is happening. So it is working, but I think it is working at about 50% of the impact that the government had. Government intended to have a lot of impact. So we are also talking to government very often on how to improve the impact. In India, it's all about execution. It's not about intention. I think the government intention is right. I must say the schemes are also very well designed. The banks are also very good participants in a lot of these schemes. But just because of the processes and the bureaucracy and all of that, things are a bit slower than what I would have expected them to be in these schemes.
And do you think housing finance companies, which address a core need of many Indians to buy their own roof over their heads, what shape will this sector be in the post-COVID world, Rashesh?
So housing finance companies have been a very important part of the credit system in India. Uh, the good news is that it's a large demand. The demand for housing finance is very large in India, and there are various segments in affordable housing and others where specialized companies can play a role if they are closer to the customer, if their underwriting is strong, if their cost structure is very efficient, all of those. But the other thing is that banks also do housing finance, and banks have a cheaper cost of funding. So home loans are also given by banks. So it is the one area where NBFCs or HFCs and banks compete head on because it's a large market. And for all banks, housing finance is also a very important part of their portfolio. So it's a large opportunity, but HFCs also compete with the banks and they also borrow from the banks. So it's a very unique situation that people who provide them with their capital, the banks, are also their competition in the marketplace. So I think HFCs have to do two things. One is to find areas where the banks are not strong, maybe in things like affordable housing or other areas where, or the market segment is very small for banks to address, in which case a housing finance company can specialize and do that. And we have seen a lot of such housing finance companies who have done a fabulous job at that, finding out the niche customers and going after them and really understanding the needs. And the other areas where housing finance companies can do well is become partners with banks, because there is a lot of advantage that housing finance companies bring in terms of origination of loan, underwriting, collections of loan, customer contact, cost structure, all of that. So all these advantages of housing finance companies can be capitalized by partnering with banks, because the cost of funding for housing finance companies will always be higher than for banks. So I think housing finance companies should focus on areas where they don't directly compete with banks, but they have specialized skill sets, and other areas where they can partner with banks.
Thank you, Rashesh. We had a question also from our clients about insurance. We have both a life insurance and a general insurance business. In the post-COVID world, how do you think these two businesses of ours, because we provide health insurance as well, how do you think these businesses will be impacted because of the COVID pandemic? What changes for us?
I think again, we have seen in the last 3-4 months itself that insurance has become a lot more technology enabled. In fact, first quarter, our insurance businesses have grown very well in April, May, and June, in spite of lockdown, in spite of people not being in the field doing sales. Because as you know, a lot of insurance is also field sales force being able to work there. But in spite of that, we have seen growth in this quarter, and partly because of technology. I think customer interaction, customer sales, all of that are also getting very, very technology enabled. And that is a good thing, because that is more cost efficient. That is also a lot more time efficient for us and for our customers. So I think technology will change, the sales practices and all of that will change. The products will change. I think customers want a lot more easier products to understand, which can be done online also and all that. Customer want quicker closure of the policies and all. IRD has also done a great job. The insurance regulatory authority, that now you can do your entire KYC online. The paperwork has come down a lot, so we can actually do a lot of insurance sales even without customers having to sign a lot of documents and papers. So given all of that, I think the sales and all that will change. But I think insurance will grow a lot for two reasons. There are two things insurance offers to customers. I think one is risk, whether it's health insurance or your life insurance and all of that. And people want retirement planning. They want to make sure they have income if they're out of job and all that. All that has become more clear in the last few months. So I think that part of insurance, which is risk management, has become very important. On the other side, insurance also offers investment and savings, how to channelize savings on a long-term basis. Because insurance is about 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And insurance is a very tax efficient and a long-term return efficient product for people to plan the long-term investments. So I think as people focus on long-term investments, at the moment, obviously, everybody is very focused on the short term. But in spite of that, because of the risk part of the insurance industry continues to do okay as compared to credit. If you see financial services, I think asset and wealth management have done very well, even in the COVID pandemic time.
Yeah.
Insurance has done okay, and credit has done fairly badly as the industry as a whole, because credit sector has suffered because of liquidity and asset quality impact and all. Insurance has done okay. asset and wealth management has done very well. And we are fortunately or unfortunately in all the businesses, so we have the good, bad, everything. And that I always say, being diversified is always a good thing because you always diversified. But being diversified also bad because you always have a few businesses which are struggling or going through a hard time. And that is the thing about Edelweiss. We always wanted to be diversified. So I think we have seen some good opportunities in insurance. And I think as people start looking at long-term, channelizing the savings into long-term investments, I think insurance will have a much stronger growth outlook after that.
Thank you, Rashesh. I come to the last question from customers. This is from Pavan Nag. We know you're a keen marathon runner, and so this lockdown must have been particularly hard on you. How are you making the most of this time?
So actually, fortunately for me, I have been able to run and exercise, but it's been a great opportunity also. So I live in a building where a few people get together to do stretching and yoga in the morning. So I also made friends with them and I'm part of that. So I do a couple of times that. We obviously maintain social distance and all that, but it's good to do it with a few other people in the building. So that has been a good thing for me. I made new friends and all. Also, I've been able to run in the building. Also, we have a 300-400 meter kind of a loop. So I used to run there. Now I go out to run also because now we are allowed to go outside to run. So I think I've been able to run, but I've been able to do other things also, including stretching and yoga and all, which is always on the agenda, but I was not able to do. I always have been doing meditation and I've found more time to do that. And I think that is been one of the great things of the last 3-4 months. I take time to meditate every day and I find it very refreshing, very energizing. So I think the commute time that I've saved, because though I'm still working the same hours, the commute to office and all is not there. And that extra hour and a half that I get, I'm able to focus on the meditation and other things. So I always say that I think not only your physical health, but the mental health is equally important. And I think this time, being calm, being compassionate, being quiet is very important. And we have to work on both the physical part of our body and the mental part of our body. In fact, if I may leave our viewers and our friends with only one small insight that has been there, I found that the human body, our physical body, wants to be still, wants to be aram se, and you have to make an effort to keep it active. Go for a walk, go for a run, go for other activities and all. So the physical body wants to remain inactive, and you have to make an effort to make it active. While our mind always wants to be active. Even after a tired day, when we go to sleep at night, the mind is
Yeah.
active. The mind is constantly working, and you have to make an effort to quiet down the mind, to make the mind inactive. So I always say, let's all work to keep the body active and the mind calmer as we go along, because that is the true mantra for well-being.
Thank you so much, Rashesh. This has been a really, really inspiring hour, and your insights both on how to run a business, how to run your personal life, how to stay safe, as well as how to stay sane, have been extremely energizing and extremely insightful as always. Thank you very much for this. Would
I
you
wanted
have any
to,
closing remarks? Would you have any
yeah,
closing remarks for our wealth clients, please? Over to you.
Yeah, I just wanted to first of all thank all our clients and customers, of course, and our employees who have stood with us, who have made our stronger and all. We wouldn't be where we are today without the strong support of all our clients, our customers, the faith that they've reposed in us. As it's been a tough time for us, it's been a tough time for them also. And if they've invested in our equity shares or in our bonds, they've seen the prices go up and down. And I do empathize, I do understand it's not been a great environment last 2 years. It's been a very difficult economic environment. Even Edelweiss, in our 25-year history, the last 2 years have been very tough, very trying. But I want to assure them that we are doing everything we can to make sure that we take care of all our stakeholders. In the last 20 months, we are not a large corporate group, we are not a large business house, But in the last 20 months, we have paid every obligation on time. We always kept enough liquidity. We have communicated with all our stakeholders. We have made sure, like in March when COVID happened, we paid our salaries a week in advance. We usually pay salary around the salary around 28th, 29th. In the month of March, when COVID had just happened, we paid it a week in advance to make sure that our employees who need to do some investment planning end of the year, kind of, it was that phase at the end of March. We made sure that people had liquidity in their hands. And we have done that with our customers, we have done that with our stakeholders, our bondholders, all of them. So I would say, uh, please continue to support us. We need your support. We need your love. We need your love, your encouragement, and all that. And we are only defined by two things: our employees and our customers. And I think they both, in the long-term basis, are going to be what Edelweiss is all about. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rashesh. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for your time. And we hope you have a splendid evening and a great weekend. Thank you so much.